We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
We're coming on the air because the Supreme Court has just released a major decision which could have a profound impact on the midterm elections. The justices issuing a ruling on a case out of Louisiana involving the Voting Rights Act, redistricting, and whether states must end any consideration of race when redrawing congressional maps. The decision potentially reducing the influence of minority voters and minority representation in Congress. Let's get right to our senior Washington correspondent, Devin Dwyer, who covers the Supreme Court for us. Devin.
Kira, this decision is 6-3, written by Justice Samuel Alito, and it's a significant decision and a setback for the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was passed to guarantee equality in how we vote, and of course addressing the systemic and historic racial discrimination, especially across the South. This decision came in a case out of Louisiana involving a court-ordered drawing addition of a second majority black district in that state because of the size of the state's population. And the Supreme Court today, in this decision, said that the court violated the 14th Amendment by adding, the state rather, violated the 14th Amendment by adding that district. They used race impermissibly, consciously, to add a second district to aid those voters, and they said that is simply not allowed under our Constitution. Justice Samuel Alito didn't go as far as saying race can never be used in drawing these maps. That's something the court has affirmed before to comply with the Voting Rights Act, but he put a significant new limit on how courts can order states to draw their maps to be more equitable. He said that Section 2 imposes liability only when evidence supports a strong inference that the state intentionally drew its map to discriminate. So a setback for minority voters in Louisiana, and now, Kira, the impact of this decision is going to start to ripple across the country.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
As you heard from the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney, former FBI Director James Comey, has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm or hurt or even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or civilians in our country, are met with the same measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey allegedly threatened the life of the President of the United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
I do have, unfortunately, a lot of experience with Mr. Comey. Mr. Comey is one of those individuals, while smart, is too immature to be given power. Again, I'm not saying he's not smart, but he's too cute by half. And he thinks he's smarter and more virtuous than everybody else. Probably, given his personality and his lack of morals, the best job for Mr. Comey would be to go to work for Panda Express and let him try to work his way up into management. He could probably do the least amount of harm there. But he's not someone who should ever be given power.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Ainsi.
Oh, yeah, she's singing right now, ain't she? Oh my gosh. OMG. Not the other OMG. Oh my gosh. You know, some days I wake up and I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then other days I wake up and like, I don't know how I'm going to fit it all in. There's just way too much happening. Just to let you know, a quick little bit of housekeeping before I dig in. President Trump is due at any second to greet the astronauts at the White House. As soon as he comes on, of course, we will cut directly to that so he can greet the astronauts and probably take a few questions. In addition, the Federal Reserve, as we expected, left the interest rates unchanged. They're not going to budge until too late Jerome Powell is out of office. So no break on the interest rates, not going to happen. At this point, the Democrat ideology, if you watch I'm going to show some of it tonight, the California governor debate. Everything was so anti-Trump that the moderators had to say, I understand you don't like Trump. What are you going to do about California? The liberal moderators were just looking at him like every answer. Well, Trump, 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 Trump. And it got to be a point where, can you talk to Californians? They don't, I've said it 1,000 times, they got nothing, nothing. If Trump said the sky was blue, they'd say, no, it's not. It doesn't really matter what President Trump says. Now it's just a comedy. But the best part about it is Hakeem Jeffries went and ran his mouth, maximum warfare everywhere, all the time. And now that's what you're getting. Welcome to your own little fripping nightmare. I can't wait. You know, in the other studio, I've got a cigar, but it's not quite cigar time. I'm not going to celebrate early. We can't. Don't celebrate early. That's what the Democrats do. That's what the pollsters do. That's what the panicans do. Oh, it's over. The midterms are over. I would love to be talking to a pollster today and go, did you foresee what was going to happen today? Of course you didn't. Does that change anything? This much? That today, 100%, 150% proves everything I've been telling you about the midterms. It's all BS because they're comparing things to a different kind of president in a different era. In case you don't realize, we are in the era of maximum warfare every day, all the time. What they didn't expect was that it'd be our maximum warfare. And that's what you need to get used to. It's our maximum warfare. It's our turn now. You've done everything you possibly can, including trying to kill the guy a couple times. Now it's time for some comeuppance. And you better get used to it, and you better get used to rubbing their frickin' faces in it. Enjoy it, revel in it, get cocky, become a little arrogant. I think that's what has to happen right about now. Republicans in MAGA need to become a little bit arrogant. I've seen so many times in the chat, I can't even count it. I'll believe it when I see it. You guys have seen it. You know those people. Oh, you know, I've waited and waited. You know those people. Now what you got to say? Now I know what they're going to say. Well, he'll never be convicted. They never learn. They don't know what's coming up. Let me just go into the Comey stuff just a little bit before I have to jump. Raise your hand if you think, as Kash Patel and Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi have said, if you truly think a year's investigation. Remember, this tweet or whatever Instagram post was May of 2025. It's almost May of 2026. I want you to use your noggin here. Do you really think they walked into a grand jury and they said, we'd like you to indict James Comey? And they said, for what? And they held up, you know, it's this Instagram post. He put up a mean post. You got any other evidence? Nope, that's it. This is all we have. Do you believe that? because that's what they're trying to make you believe right now. That's where the spin is. The spin is in overtime right now because they can't let you settle in to what just happened in the last 24 hours. They want you to believe that a prosecutors, many prosecutors have been looking at something for a year and walked in and told the grand jury, this is it, just that. That's our whole case. Maybe I'm the first person to say it to you like that, because now you're all sitting back going, yeah, that would be kind of stupid, huh? Yeah, it would be a lot stupid. Have you ever served on a jury? Have you ever served on a grand jury? Ever known anybody who served on a grand jury? Have they told you how much stuff they bring out? And yet even the stuff they bring out isn't everything they got. I just need enough to get an indictment. That's why they always say you can indict a ham sandwich. You can indict a ham sandwich because you just show them enough to get their teeth wet, and they chew on it and they indict. But I don't think you could indict somebody on one Instagram post. I'm going to go into that in depth, a little bit more deep as we get through it. But you're going to see the spin. Oh, it's just, you're telling me this whole thing was built on an Instagram post. I'm not telling you that. Todd Blanche didn't tell you that. Kash Patel didn't tell you that. The media is telling you that. The media is telling idiots on social media, well, it was just an Instagram post. Don't believe it for a single second. Whether or not he can get convicted, that's a whole different thing. But there had to have been much more fire behind that smoke. And the other thing is they're getting ready for President Trump to come out with the astronauts. I want to talk to you for a second, just to begin here, about the SCOTUS ruling today. And notice how everybody is phrasing it. And the black peoples, the black peoples for like 70 years, they can't vote. They can't get IDs. And now here we go again, the Civil Rights Act, the act that allowed black people to even vote. They're tearing it down. It's 2026, y'all. We already had a black president. We had a black woman, well, it's kind of black, run for vice president and then president. These ain't your mama's racism. That was then, this is now. Well, Bear, you just sound like an Uncle Tom. Okay, but I know for a fact that it's 2026 and the crap that you're talking about has long since existed, ceased to exist. You have insulted people enough. I love what the Supreme Court did and how they did it today. They're like, that ain't the world we live in anymore. It was almost like, okay, hold on. I got to cut. I'll be back to that.
And they're very brave, and there was a lot of rocket under them. I never saw anything like that. We were talking about it. It's I don't know how they do it. I wouldn't want to do it, but it takes people like this to make our country great. And again, I've never seen anything. Everybody I knew, they wanted to see the launch, and they especially wanted to see a successful landing. And Jared, I want to congratulate you, what you've done at NASA. I made a great choice. And if you have any questions for any of us, feel free to ask. But we're very proud of these people. They have unbelievable courage, unbelievable. A lot of other things too, by the way. To get in there, you have to be very smart, have to do a lot of things physically good. So I would have had no trouble making it, and physically very, very good. Maybe a little bit of a problem. I'm not sure. We'll have to try it sometime. Is a president allowed to go up in one of these missions?
We can get working on that, Mr. President.
We'd have no problem, right?
We're going to launch more rockets. The opportunity.
We'll have to try it. Congratulations very much.
Thanks.
And by the way, their families are over here, beautiful families, and they're in the Oval Office, and they walked in, they said, wow, the Oval Office. Everybody likes the Oval Office. So, any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, it's a great honor to meet all of you. Congratulations, and welcome to the White House. I have had the privilege of interviewing Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon.
Oh, good.
Is that what you would like to do? And Mr. President, do you think that will happen during your second term?
Well, we have a shot at it. I mean, we don't like to say definitely, because then you say, oh, we failed. Because I think we could say we're ahead of schedule. So we have a good shot. We've authorized it. And I think with this team and, with Jared's done such an amazing job at NASA, I think we have a good shot, right? We'll see.
Yes, Mr. President, we have an achievable plan now back to the moon. And we're back in the business of launching moon rockets with frequency. So we just sent Artemis 2 around the moon. We're going to launch Artemis 3 in 2027. We'll protect for up for 2 opportunities in 2028 to return astronauts to the surface of the moon.
I like space. I started Space Force, as you very well know. It's been very, very important. Then they tried to kill it. And actually, the military would not let the Biden administration kill it. They wanted to kill it. And it's going to turn out to be one of our most important things. I think it'll turn out to be one of the most important things they did. But we got involved with NASA bringing it back. And I was saying when I first looked at some of your facilities, they had grass growing on the runways, right in between the cracks of the asphalt. And but not anymore. It's really strong. And what they do, one of the things they do that's so important is for our military offense and defense. And a lot of people say, well, is it worth it? It's really worth it, because what's happened militarily, you see what we're doing militarily, a lot of that comes from space. So it's been pretty great. Good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 questions for you. First, on the topic of space, do you have an update on the UFO files and when we're going to be seeing those?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. For some reason, and I guess it's just a reason that's been in the minds of people for a long time, that is they want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material. And we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have. And I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. I've interviewed people, my first term primarily, but I interviewed some pilots, very solid people. And they said they saw things that you wouldn't believe. So you're going to be reading about it, yes.
Sir, you spoke to Vladimir Putin not too long ago. Did you talk to him about
today?
Did you talk to him about progress in the space area, and what else did you talk
I didn't talk about space, no. I talked about Ukraine, and I talked a little bit about Iran. I talked about a few different subjects, mostly about Ukraine, and we had a very good conversation. I think we're going to come up with a solution relatively quickly, I hope.
What does he want?
I think you'd like to see a solution, I can tell you, and that's good.
What involvement does he want to have in the Iran situation?
He told me he'd like to be involved with the enrichment if he can help us get it. I said I'd much rather have you be involved with ending the war with Ukraine. To me, that would be more important, because we're going to have that. Look, we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and we've knocked out their Navy, we've knocked out their Air Force, we've knocked out their anti-aircraft, everything, apparatus, everything they have, their radar. They have very little left, and they have some missiles, a small percentage. They have a small percentage of missile-making facilities. We knocked out about 80% of them. The rest could come very quickly if we don't make a deal. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They know it. And just about everybody else does. And so we talked about that a little bit. He doesn't want to see them have a nuclear weapon either. But I had a long talk with President Putin. I suggested a little bit of a ceasefire, and I think he might do that. He might announce something having to do with that. Did he announce it yet?
No, but I was wondering, I was just going to ask you.
No, I asked him about, even if it's a little ceasefire, there's so many people being killed, it's so ridiculous.
Mr. President, in light of today's Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act, do you want Republican states in the South to look at redrawing congressional districts before
I don't know, you have to tell me, when did the ruling come out? I've been with the astronauts. I've been with contractors, because we're trying to get the ballroom built ahead of schedule. It's right on schedule. It's ahead of schedule now. I want to keep it that way.
Came out today,
and I was also with commissioning some people, but one of, David Warrington's son, I don't know, you know David, everybody knows David. He's got this incredible son, so he was just sworn in, so we had other things. Tell me about the What happened?
Well, some think that the ruling can create more Republican-held congressional seats in the South.
That's good.
Yeah, would you
That's the
want
kind of ruling I like.
Would you want them to
When did
proceed?
that happen?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled on it this morning.
Really? Is that right? You tell me about the ruling.
Well, I have a question.
This is
Mr.
CNN
President.
fake news.
On your call with President Putin today, do you think the war in Iran ends first or the war in Ukraine?
Completely ignored him.
Well, we talked more about the war in Ukraine, but he would like to be of help. I said, before you help me, I want to end your war. So we had a good talk. I've known him a long time. I think he was ready to make a deal a while ago. I think some people made it difficult for him to make a deal, but we talked more about Ukraine.
But which war do you think ends first?
That's an interesting question. You know, coming from you, that's very interesting. Which war would end first? I don't know. Maybe they're on a similar timetable. I think Ukraine, militarily, they're defeated, okay? You wouldn't know that by reading the fake news, but militarily, look, their Navy. So they had 159 ships. Every ship is right now underwater. Typically, that's pretty good. What do you think, Jared? I mean, it's going to be hard for them to make a naval comeback. Okay, now they have an Air Force. Every one of their planes has been shot down or has been decimated. They have missiles, about 82% are gone, and they have drones, and most of them are gone. Most of the factories are mostly gone, and we have tremendous anti-drone equipment now, between lasers and that new, very special machine gun that knocks them out of the air like flies. And we use bullets instead of $1 million, missiles to knock out a $30,000 drone. So I would say Jared would tell me that with everything you just heard, typically we're in pretty good shape. And in addition, their economy is crashing. Their, as you know, their money, they call it their money. They don't have a name for it. Their money is valueless. They've got inflation that nobody's ever seen before. Other than that, I think they're doing quite well. If you read the New York Times, you'd say they're doing wonderfully because it's fake news. Or if you watch CNN, I mean, you cover it all the time. You think they're doing well. Do you think they're doing well where they have no Navy, no Air Force, no anti-aircraft apparatus, other than what they may have put there? They may have brought in some light stuff during the ceasefire, and we know exactly where it is, so it'll be knocked out within the first 15 minutes.
You're about to Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I want to go back to the Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act. I know you said you haven't seen it.
When did it come out? Just now?
No, it came out this morning, but basically very much narrows the Voting Rights Act.
Was it considered a win for who?
A win for Republicans.
I love it.
But my question...
This is a very good... We can end this news conference right now. I want to read it.
My question for you, Mr. President, is that some Republican governors have not responded in terms of what they're going to do. I guess early voting, for example, in Louisiana.
Republican governors? What?
Republican governors.
What about it?
Early voting begins Saturday there, for instance. Should they redraw the map in the next couple of
I would. I mean, it depends. I mean, some states don't need to redraw, and some do. I mean, I know what the concept of the ruling. I just haven't seen the result. Yeah, I would say generally I would think that they would want to do it. Some are greatly helped, and some, didn't make much difference. Yeah, I would say they would do that. They have time to do it. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of drama on the House floor today. Several bills were stalled, and a rule took 2 hours to pass today, and there's still some tension over the Farm Bill. Do you think that you need to get more involved legislatively on Capitol Hill?
Well, we want the Farm Bill. The Democrats don't. We want security, okay? We need security. We want security. The Democrats don't think we need security. They actually do, but they suffer greatly from Trump derangement syndrome, like at levels that nobody's ever seen. They're sick people. There's something wrong with them. They don't want to pay anybody for security. They don't like ICE. They don't like Border Patrol people. They don't like the people that keep us safe. When they ran this, they let 25 million people into our country, and many of those people were from prisons. They were from mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers, 11,888 murders, half of whom committed more than one murder. They think that was fine. I happen to like law enforcement. They essentially want to defund law enforcement. And I don't think the public's going to let them get away with it. You know, we got it all approved in the great big beautiful bill, and they want to renegotiate. We don't like that.
Mr. President, the King's speech that he made to Congress, he spoke strongly, forcefully about the necessity for a strong NATO alliance. He also spoke about the necessity to continue to support Ukraine. Did his speech in any way change your thinking on either of those issues?
Well, you have to understand, my thinking is, I think, exactly correct, but I was very disappointed with the fact that when we called on them to give us a little hand, we didn't need it. I actually did it just to see whether or not they'd be there. When we called on NATO to give us a hand with Ukraine, and in particular the most recent, you know, we asked them to do certain things on Ukraine, and we also wanted them to do things with Iran. And on Ukraine, they're very much involved, but they didn't do things the way we would like to see it. You know, it's been going on for a long time. And on Iran, they weren't there. As you know it better than anybody. They weren't there. The king is fantastic. We spent a lot of time together. We had a lot of talk. We talked about this also. And he loves his country, and he's a great king, and he's a great friend of mine. And I think if he were doing that, if that were up to him, he would have probably helped us with Iran. He would have followed the suggestions we made with respect to Ukraine, because, you know, we have some disagreements on Ukraine, and not having to do with NATO so much as European countries. But no, he's coming back tomorrow. We had an incredible evening last night, and he's leaving tomorrow. He's going to come back and see us before he leaves, and but no, I think he's a phenomenal representative for his country. I think the people in the United Kingdom should be proud. I loved his speech yesterday. I watched it. I loved the speech last night. I don't know about my speech. I thought my speech was okay too, but I thought he was. I think he's an unbelievable king, and by the way, an unbelievable queen. They are a great couple.
Mr. President, this morning, you were talking about how busy you were this morning. James Comey was in court. He self-surrendered. He's now been charged a second time, this time over a social media post with seashells that said 8647. Do you really think that he was endangering your life or threatening your life with that?
Well, if anybody knows anything about crime, they know 86. You know what 86? It's a mob term for kill 'em. You know? You ever see the movies? 86 'em. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 'em. That means kill 'em. It's, I think of it as a mob term. I don't know, people think of it as something having to do with disappearing, but the mob uses that term to say when they want to kill somebody, they say 86, the son of a gun. I'm trying to keep the language nice and clear. They don't use that term, son of a gun. They use another term. But that's a mob term for kill 'em. Yeah.
But do you really think your life was in danger?
Probably. I don't know. You know, based on what I'm seeing out there, yeah. The people like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others. Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop. He cheated on the elections. He tried to help Hillary Clinton, as you know. He dismissed a lot of things that he should have proceeded with. I wasn't involved, but he should have proceeded with. No, he's a dirty cop. He's a crooked man, yeah.
Mr. President, you just described there's been disagreement between the U.S. and Keir Starmer on support for Iran. Did your visit with the king smooth that over or create any more?
My visit with the king really was it was extraordinary. I mean, he's an extraordinary man. He's an extraordinary person. And, yeah, it helps from the standpoint that, you know, when you like the king of a country so much, it probably helps your relationship with the prime minister. But, you know, in that case, the prime minister, I said, do you want to send a little help? He said, no, we'll send it after you win the war. I said, that's not good. That's not good. What do you think of that, Jared? Sending help after we win the war? I don't know. Something that bothers me. I don't want to get you guys involved, but I can imagine what you're thinking.
The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, they pulled out of OPEC.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great. Look, I know him very well, Mohammed, and very smart. And he probably maybe wants to go his own way. That's a good thing. I think ultimately it's a good thing for getting the price of gas down, getting oil down, getting everything down. They have it all. He's a great leader, actually. So no, I'm okay. They're having some problems in OPEC.
Mr. President, Kevin Warsh passed a hurdle today. The Senate Banking Committee confirmed his nomination. It will go to the Senate floor.
We need
He'll be on the Fed in mid-May. Is it your expectation that he can persuade the other Fed governors to lower interest rates?
Well, we'll see.
They haven't done
they
so
should
recently.
Because it's a good time to lower them. We're the most prime country anywhere in the world. We're right now having investments made in our country at a level that nobody's ever seen. No other country's ever seen it. Tens of billions of dollars are being invested. Factories, auto plants, AI. I mean, not just AI, because AI is, we're leading China by a lot in AI, as you know. I'm letting them build their own electric plants. They're building them, otherwise you could never do it. It was a concept that I came up with. I'm very proud of it. And by the way, they're building electric plants that people in the utility industry have never seen before. They're saying, man, that's incredible. So they're building these massive buildings that cost billions of dollars, and they're building their own electric plants, so they're not taking from a source or the old grid, an old grid that would be able to do it. No, we're leading with everything, but in the history of our beautiful world, there's never been a country that has so much money being invested in it as us. And tremendous number of auto plants, by the way. The auto plants are coming out of Canada, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Germany. They're all coming to the United States. And the reason is I have a very smart tariff policy. We were taken advantage of for years. We were being ripped off by other countries for years. And those days are over. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, regarding Iran, how long are you prepared to maintain the blockade? Could that go several more months?
Well, the blockade is genius, okay? The blockade has been 100% foolproof. It shows how good our Navy is, I can tell you that. Nobody's going to play games. We have the greatest military in the world, and I built much of it during my first term, and we've been building it since. And the greatest anywhere in the world, nobody even close. And you see that, whether it's Venezuela, and they have a good military in Venezuela, but it was over in one day. It was actually over in about 48 minutes. Iran, the same thing. I mean, militarily, we've wiped them out. They have no military left. It's all the Navy's at the bottom of the sea. The Air Force is never going to fly again. We've got an amazing military. Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble. So it's a dead economy.
Economic fury and the blockade get Iran to nuclear talks fast enough, or do you think another wave of strikes will be necessary?
I don't know. It depends. We have talks. We're having talks with them now, and we're not flying anymore with 18-hour flights every time we want to see a piece of paper. We're doing it telephonically, and it's very nice. I make a call, or I have my people make a call, and you know the answer. I always like face-to-face. I consider it better. But when you have to fly 18 hours every time you want to have a meeting, and you know what the meeting's all about, and you know they're going to give you a piece of paper that you don't like before you even leave, it's ridiculous. They've come a long way. The question is whether or not they're going to go far enough. So at this moment, there will never be a deal unless they agree that there will be no nuclear weapons. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you considering relocating NASA's headquarters out of D.C.? States like Florida, Texas, and Ohio have expressed interest.
You're going to have to say it differently.
Sorry, are you considering relocating NASA's headquarters out of D.C. once the lease is up? States like Texas, Ohio, and Florida.
Well, the best man to tell you that is the man standing right over here. You heard that question with those beautiful ears of yours? He's got great hearing, he's got super hearing.
Trick of the trade, sir.
What's the answer to that?
I think the answer to that is we have 10 amazing centers around the country that all kind of bubble up to contribute to the mission we're able to undertake, like Artemis 2. I think in terms of the headquarters, we have a lot of people very interested in our mission. So being here in D.C. gives us the opportunity to kind of interact from all our stakeholders, make sure we make the right decisions for the nation.
Yeah, D.C. is an advantage, I guess, for you. It's got to go around. It's got to see some senators, make sure they keep going, right?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, probably staying around is not so bad. And importantly, Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. When I came here a little more than a year ago, it was a very unsafe city. And now, maybe even more importantly than that, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And you helped make it hot. You know, you helped make it hot. When a year and a half ago, and I say it a lot, the King of Saudi Arabia, but others also, the King of Saudi Arabia said, Mr. President, a year and a half ago, we thought you had a dead country. We thought the United States was a dead country, and now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we do. And believe it or not, I mean, when everybody in the world was watching that incredible performance by NASA, these incredible people behind me, where they get the bravery, I have no idea. But you're a big part of it. You really are. We have the hottest country in the world. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad.
All right, President Trump meeting with the Artemis II crew there. He led off with that, making some news. Meanwhile, John, about talking with President Putin today, said the call went well.
All righty. So I don't know. These people can't stay on point, but I have an idea here. I have not, I won't say a prediction, a prognosis. I wonder if this is what's going to be the future of press conferences for the time being until Caroline Leavitt gets back. I wonder if he'll have an event or he'll have somebody in. He knows these people aren't going to talk about the topic in front of them. None of them really even cared about the astronauts. These poor guys and that ladies were standing back there and nobody even cared. Hey, what was your first meal? How did it feel landing back on land? How long did it take you to get, back to normal? Not questions that people actually care about. Nope, nothing. Nothing at all. And as he was taking the questions about the Supreme Court, I've had to play against this guy in poker, but I would not want to play against that guy sitting behind that Oval Office. Because hey, did you hear about SCOTUS? No. What happened? I'm not really sure. Tell me. I'm only the president of the United States, you morons. But no, I don't know nothing. What's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, these people are just...
Oh, my gosh.
They don't even realize how bad they're being trolled. I mean, the poker face that he put on a couple times. Yes. So tell me, what happened? I don't even
Barry,
know.
With all defense, you did take some money from me in that one hand with the pocket queens. I can't believe you didn't 3-bet me on that one. You limped in with pocket queens? What?
I didn't know what you do. I didn't know how you play, so I was just trying to be careful. I'm like, this guy's gonna. I didn't know. Yeah. But
so
yeah.
I knew after that you like to trap, so I knew that.
I like to trap. Notes. But like he trapped. Caitlin Collins tried to trap him. She tried to get him to submarine Comey's arrest just by saying, no, I didn't take it as a threat. And he's not that stupid. Every time you hear these people like, he's unhinged, he's got dementia. Okay. you watch it right there. And you could tell she knew because he was jousting with her and she couldn't even crack so much as, a little smile. She just sat there with, as you call it,
RBF. RBF. Yeah. Someday that will be fatal.
Couldn't even smile. She had to have known he got you. He knew exactly where you were going, and you couldn't outsmart him. Then she tried to come right back with it. But I just loved watching him play. I guess from your perspective, pickleball with the reporters over this crap about SCOTUS that he did. First of all, how could you ask the president of the United States if he heard about a Supreme Court decision? As if you're the one breaking it to him. There's all these people around him whose sole job is to make sure he's informed.
Of course he knew. Yeah.
Of course he knew. SV, he knew yesterday.
Of course he did.
He knew.
He's always 5 steps ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
I truly believe
Don't think
that.
there's not somebody in Alito's camp or in Justice Thomas's camp or somebody who I don't know. They may have clerks that say we need to. I would think you don't keep secrets from the president. Even something like a Supreme Court decision. But we'll get into that as well. What else? Anything breaking you got?
Yeah, a couple things. So, speaking about he's always doing something else. So apparently the Trump FCC is now dropping the hammer on ABC and Disney licenses following. Oh, shucks. You and I definitely have to. Okay. You know what? We're going to definitely trade notes before the show. So there you go. I tell you what, great minds think alike. I truly believe it. Let's see if you know this one.
Good.
This one you don't have. It's about Nick Shirley. I follow him, of course. So he wrote today, Tim Walz called me a far-right delusional conspiracy theorist and said exposing the fraud in his state was white supremacy. It was a classic false smear tactic that has worked for so long, but it didn't work this time. Tim was exposed and dropped out. Tim leered.
Tim leered. Now, it's funny.
That's what he wrote.
If you saw the thumbnail I put up, there was a thumbnail that I put up that it had Hakeem Jeffries, Comey, and something else on it, Kimmel, and I also had something about Tim Walz. And so I'm going to have to put that on pause because the president took up the time for that. Otherwise, we'd be here until tomorrow morning. But there was a post, I think you sent it to me, no, Ashley sent it to me. And the post was by a guy named Tony Saruga. And I'm trying to find it because I didn't realize it was buried. But while I'm talking, I can keep looking. Tony's post said, he's had sources, whatever they may be. A lot of his stuff is well thought out, that Tim Walz is about to make a perp walk.
Yep, I saw that.
And I'm wondering.
That's true. That would be great.
Oh my gosh, I can't even fathom if they.
I hope he brings some of those tampons with him in prison, because it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
All right, here we are. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a lot of news going on. It continues to break. I mean, all the stories that I'm sure you're going to talk about, the gerrymandering stuff. Stock market's off a little bit today. Obviously, people are taking advantage of the greed and stuff, but. The thing I haven't heard a lot is, and I've been looking at Truth Social, is I haven't seen a lot of stuff about Iran. So that's obviously still cooking. And I hear they're very close to their oil. Everything's getting backed up. There was rumors that Iran was going to start sending the oil over land, but, that's not easy to do. Plus, it's more costly. You can't move as much. So hopefully we're going to hear something soon on that we can get that resolved soon, so we get the gas prices to go back down and prosperity to increase.
I think I've talked enough to tell people, how I feel about the markets and how they're being manipulated, and no better indication by what you saw today with Jerome Powell, which might be his last meeting, and it wouldn't have caused any skin off his back to get together and lower the interest rates, but what you're seeing is they will stick it to Trump, i.e. stick it to America. They will do anything they possibly can to take down Trump, take down America, and make you feel the pain all the way that they possibly can. I mean, the stock market.
As you said, what's happening in California, every comment was, what about Trump? I mean, I said that the other day when I was speaking to you. They don't have any answers to fix anything, to make things better for anybody in the country. It's simply TDS. All they care about is Trump, Trump, Trump.
Do you know, in my estimation, do you know why they have nothing to say about how they're going to fix the country and why they're fighting Trump? I'm not going to put you on the spot like that, but the reason why I think they talk like that is because they have to stop Trump because he's already fixing the country. If they weren't obstructing, imagine where we'd be right now. And so to them, they don't want to fix the country. And at this point, the only thing they can do is to block him from fixing it because of how bad they broke it and everything else. And then run on the fact that, he's having a hard time because you guys are in the way. Oh my God.
Well, the other thing is too, he's drying up all their money. All their fraud.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's hitting our pocketbooks.
No bigger indication of that, which I'm going to do a whole story on. But Mandami coming out and saying, I ain't got any money, and we need to have the rest of the state pitch in. And at this point, the other people outside of New York City must be like, just hell no. No, we are not doing some crazy budget thing, tax things, just so Mandami can spend money giving it to the poor people, or the people he perceives as poor. And then the other thing today, King Charles is going to New York City, and he won't give him a regal welcome. He's literally spitting in his face. So I mean, poor New York. You did it. You did it to yourselves, and now you're gonna have to deal with it.
They're cooked. They're cooked. Yeah, it's not looking good for them. Well, that's what happens when you vote socialism, right? Communist.
All right, I'll be back to you.
All right, see you all later.
All right. Now, before President Trump came on, I was talking to you about the two things. One being what they were complaining about in terms of the new vote structure and how it disenfranchises, is the word you're going to hear over and over and over. It disenfranchises blacks. It's not fair to blacks. And to me, it's almost like if we started doing something for, women suffragettes. The women can't vote in this area, so we're going to have to redistrict some things so that more women can vote. It's all a crock. And now that they've been found out, this is where we're headed. And so today's news day and everything that's probably going to be subsequently coming, I mentioned earlier that, one of the props I was going to have is my cigar, but we're not there yet. The other thing I think we need to do, the other thing I'm going to advise many of you to do is probably go ahead and get like a football helmet with a visor or some kind of helmet. Because the way things are going in the last 24 hours alone, and the summer's coming, these people are going to have no choice but to riot. They're going to go absolutely ballistic. In fact, some of them aren't even waiting for that. Well, here's something SV sent me.
Our democracy. This is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica has waived closed. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 28 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes. Read the next bill.
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
Some of you may be wondering, man, there's a protester inside that's the Florida House. Why are they letting protesters in the floor of a governmental legislative body? That's the state of Florida House, as they were looking to pass our own redistricting down here in Florida. And there's a protester. Well, let me tell you the answer, because that wasn't a protester. That's an actual legislator. I don't even know what district she represents, but that's an elected official. You just watched an elected official losing her ever-loving mind, going crazy up and down the aisles of of the Congress.
It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica.
So if that's what people in office are going to do, what do you think the people on the corner in the barbershops and out in the stores are going to do? Get yourself a football helmet or something a little bit stronger, because these people about to lose their minds. I'm going to get into the whole Supreme Court thing and prove that to you. But now, if you haven't gone down to your local range and said, let me learn how to use this thing, now might be the time. In addition to having a cigar ready, because things are looking really good, you might want to get ready to deal with some of the crazies that are kind of happening. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. We are going to see people go bat poop crazier. be careful. I'm serious. Be very, very careful, because SB. Okay, SB sent me a note. Her name is Representative Angie Nixon from District 1.3. Must be one of the districts in the hood, because she went crazy. She brought a prop. Sure, yeah, this is illegal. It's racist. It's homophobic, xenophobic. And I love what the people there did. Call the vote. Let's do it. We don't care how you feel. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it right now. And you can scream and cry and moan and bitch, whatever you want to do. We don't care. It's coming. And so again, and I'll say this a couple more times today, there's not a single pollster who could have foreseen what just happened. And it's going to be like that on an ongoing basis. So just understand that. Really, you have to. At this point, if you're not understanding what's happening in front of you, you are not going to be prepared for it. All right, let me talk to you today about Lear Capital. Talking about being prepared. Jerome Powell playing games. Iran war. They've got the oil inflated. All the things that they are doing is to make the people who don't know any better freak out. Gas prices higher. Okay. See, those are all signals I looked at and go, I can understand where the puck is going. Kevin Warsh he didn't get confirmed, but he got approved. He made it through committee, which now they'll take it to the full Senate, and inevitably he's going to get approved. And his first order of business when he gets in will be to lower interest rates. So if you bought some gold and silver, don't be freaking out right now. Get your information together and figure out what you need to be doing between now and, say, September. They've been trying everything they possibly can do to suppress the market and to manipulate the market. And the days of excessive money printing, overvalued markets, and global unrest are finally catching up to the elite. So instead of pulling back, now is the time to do your research. Keep your eyes open to trends and get some information from my friends at Lear Capital. You know, the experts are still predicting $6,000 an ounce gold and $150 to $200 an ounce silver. And you can easily see the boomerang that's going to happen when they get off the back of this thoroughbred called the Trump economy. Everything you're seeing is being driven by geopolitical uncertainty, inflation concerns. The media is even now talking back about Ukraine because they realize Iran is done. And so everything they're trying to do is to keep you from being prosperous. Is it time for you to buy gold or silver? That's a decision you'll have to make yourself. I'll have Kevin DeMerit on next week, and we'll be talking about it with you. But if you can, call Lear Capital. They'll help you by getting the most accurate information you'll need to make an informed decision. Call the best in the business and the company that Robin and I personally trust and do business with and buy with. And by the way, I don't know where my little thing is. Oh, there it is. I should take more care of this $1,000 sitting here, but buy physical gold and silver, none of this certificate crap. So call Lear Capital. It's a free call. There's no obligation to purchase, just education and information on protecting and growing your wealth with gold and silver. And I'm sure there are many of you that have called or maybe haven't called but haven't purchased yet for whatever reason. They'll walk you through shifting some of your money sitting in a retirement account over to physical gold and silver. A lot of people try to naysay gold and silver, especially, us boomer age people. But it's a lot different, completely different between buying paper and buying the actual coins and bars. That's a big difference. Nobody poo-poos having the actual asset in hand. I don't have it being stored someplace, well, that other people don't know, but you have it on site. It's easy to do. I've been extremely satisfied with Lear's knowledge, their service, and their prices. And I urge you to give them a call and learn more at 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com to learn more. Wow, we're an hour in, and we're just getting started.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
The Supreme Court just issued a ruling on a potentially groundbreaking redistricting case that could impact, for many years to come, the power of minority voters in this country. It focuses on the constitutionality of Louisiana's congressional map and how it was redrawn. The justices determined if Louisiana lawmakers properly balance constitutional and Voting Rights Act protections. I want to get straight to CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford, who has been reading through the opinion. Jan?
Well, Major, we just got this ruling within the last couple minutes. The justices in a 6-3 vote, a decision written by Justice Samuel Alito for the other 5 conservatives, are striking down a second majority black district in Louisiana, ruling that state officials focused on race, and that amounted to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Now, this decision is a major one under the Voting Rights Act. It will go well beyond Louisiana. It's going to make it, based on what we're seeing so far, it will make it harder for state officials to draw up these so-called majority-minority districts, which have been used for decades and have increased black.
They've been used for decades. It's been a tool of the left. That's her. I listened to what she said, and those were her words exactly. It's been used for decades to drive votes in a certain area. You know, in a world that wants equality, when you break it down, you find out how much inequality the Democrats actually want. They think that these people can't exist. Maybe that's why we have hoods, ghettos everywhere, because if we keep these people in the ghettos, if we keep them here in the hood, then they'll always be part of our voting bloc. And the ones, these uppity Negroes, decide that they want to have podcasts and sell real estate. Oh, that's not how we want people to be. We don't want people to get better. We don't want people to be appreciative and have initiative. They don't want you to have get up and go. They want you to have stay where you at. Because when we draw these little boxes, we know we can keep coming in here every 2 or 4 years and go, we'll take care of you. I understand you and your entire family have been stuck here for 50 years and you keep voting for us and we just don't do anything for you other than give you free rent and free food. But you know what? You'll keep voting for us and we'll just keep going to Washington and we'll keep doing what we're doing. Means you ain't going to get what you're supposed to be getting. To me, that is ludicrous. To me, when I see this kind of a ruling, don't defend it, applaud it. If you want to be considered equal, then you should be treated equal. You don't get an advantage on the track. Remember when Kamala Harris said that? It struck me. She goes, we all may start, we don't start at certain points in the race. You know, you may be here, but these other people are up there, and we got to make it equitable. So we got to bring them up to the same starting line. No, the hell with this we stuff. It's 2026. Each individual needs to bring themselves up to the mark. Are there people who have better advantages? Absolutely. There are definitely people who have different advantages, but I don't look at them and go, damn, they're sticking it to me. They got white privilege. No, school's free. School's been free. You just got to show up. There is no reason if you are born in the hood, you have to stay in the hood. People laugh at me like, you were never in the hood. Oh, really? Oh, really? Yes, I've told you the stories how my dad opened a construction company, but when they got divorced, mom went through a lot of hard time. I wasn't an easy kid to feed, but she worked her ass. I got everything I needed to play ball and learn and go to school and get scholarships and then earn. Yes, I made mistakes along the way, but they were my mistakes, not because I was black. Not because somebody else had something. I did stupid stuff, like other kids do stupid stuff. I'm happy I got to do some of the same stupid stuff white kids got to do. And now, 2026, oh my gosh. Oh, they're going to take away, it's Jim Crow 2.5 or whatever you want to say.
Representation and minority representation in Congress. And it also, I think, will call into question about a dozen or so existing majority minority districts, mostly in the South. Now, those districts, as you know, Major, have been a way for Democrats to pick up seats in some of those states, those red states in the South. So this.
Can you believe they're actually admitting it? Those poll peoples has been a way for us Democrats to win. We couldn't win without keeping the people poll and keep promising stuff and keeping the carrot just out of their reach and just keep them in the same position. Well, let's just call it what it is. They used people. And I cannot believe that CBS is actually saying, hey, this has been a way for the Democrats to get votes. Oh, so they couldn't get votes by any other way because the stuff they sell, nobody wants to buy. The ideas or lack thereof, nobody wants the crap the Democrats are selling. So we got to use these district thing and draw, hey, oh, that's the hood. Let's put a big circle around it. That's yours. All you got to do down is go back down and make some stump speeches and say to white guys, oh, it's the white guys keeping you down. That's why you're broke. Vote for me. And never once over 60 years did anybody go, wait a minute, it's 2022. My grandfather told me this same speech back in 65. How come you're giving the exact same speech? And look around here. Nothing's changed. Well, something's changed. When Ashley was down, we went looking at real estate, and I had to show her the disparity, the rich areas, the hood areas. We went to the hood areas, and she, why is there so many empty lots? There's like house, 3 empty lots, house. There's more green space in the hood than there are in other areas. Why? Well, because the cities were like, those are drug houses, those are criminal houses. We need to tear them down. Well, what you going to put up instead? Nothing. It's bed and dirt. You guys have watched the show Cops. It started down here in Broward County, and they went in and they did street calming where you couldn't go down certain streets, and then when you couldn't go down certain streets, they were able to take the houses where they were selling drugs or ill repute of doing different things, and the landlords and people just abandon the property, so the people just go in and shoot up and do whatever they need to do, and the city's like, well, we'll just tear them down. Let's just tear down these houses. And so we're driving around a portion of Deerfield Beach, and actually like, what is all these empty lots? And I said, that was the way to stop it. If they couldn't hang out in the dilapidated structure or shoot up or dump a body, they just tore it down, raised it, and let the grass grow. And not one, and the question was, so there's been no politicians here who said, look at this land, you can redevelop it, but you got to make it affordable. Well, we're a mile from the beach. What do you think's going to get built here? Oh, but we can't because the black folks say, or, it's all bull. You know the word I was going to use.
Ruling is a win, I think we can say, for Republicans. But legally, this is a Supreme Court that going back 20 years or more has been saying in case after case, a consistent line of cases, that the Constitution is colorblind. And that's why we've seen the Supreme Court do things like throw out affirmative action in college admissions. This line of cases very consistent with the court's ruling today. What about the midterms? I think this ruling coming today, 6 months after it was argued back in October, may come too late to have an impact on these upcoming midterm elections. I think the focus will be going forward, limiting.
You think so? Oh, wait a minute. You think it's too late for things to happen with the midterms? Let me introduce you to, what's going on here in Florida, because they couldn't wait.
Our democracy. This is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica has waived closed. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 28 nays, Mr. Speaker.
83-28. Quit your bitching. Quit your crying. We're coming for you. We're done playing stupid games. Oh, we don't really think, much will happen before the midterms. Oh, really? Florida was... Run it. Bam. What you don't understand is now they're going to try and slow walk. The lawsuits are done. They have no more lawfare. You cannot sue anymore. The Supreme Court said, nope, none of this stuff can happen. So now they're going to clog up their own individual jurisdictions so they can't do things, but they can only do that in states where they have a chance of winning. When I say winning, where they can't have, like Florida has a supermajority. You can literally go scream in the aisle. We don't care. We're getting it done. And I got to believe there's quite a few states that might be able to do something very quickly, and then definitely by 2028. So please, Mr. Pollster, please tell me how the Democrats are just so far ahead in the midterms when you didn't see this coming. Nope. Told ya.
States from considering race when they're trying to consciously and intentionally draw up districts to increase minority representation. That means measure that you...
Did you hear what she just said? She just told you. CBS is going to come for her head. She just told you they've been intentionally doing this. Not by chance. They've been intentionally drawing blocks. Give us all the black people, and we'll put a sliver of white people in. Oh, guess what? You lost that district. Instead of just saying, let's just run on the merits. Let's just run on what we have. Let's put out policies. No, you have spent more time drawing blocks on a map than you have trying to fix people's lives or help people.
Might not have as many of those kind of ink blocked states or states that have districts that zigzag like a Z, where they go from, like this one did, from Shreveport all the way down 250 miles to Baton Rouge, scooping
These idiots drew a map that was 250 miles long. That's District 1. I've never even been to that part of the state. Oh, it is now. It's all District 1, all 250 miles of it. Just because it'll give us a seat. They've been cheating for so long, they don't even know how to react right now. This could be just incredible at this point where this thing heads.
Black voters along the way to, again, pick up voters to get enough black voters there to have that majority. So I think, that will restrict some of those those districts for sure. Looking at this decision, it's 37 pages long. There is a dissent by liberal Justice Elena Kagan that appears to be longer than the majority, and it looks like a barn burner. She is saying that today's ruling will is gutting the voting rights.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care what the dissent is. That's like the losing team saying, if my quarterback had completed more passes, if the running back had made more yards, we could have won the game. I don't give a shit what Kagan and Sotomayor and what's the other one's name? Oh yeah, DEI Jackson. I don't care. Why are they telling me about the dissent? It's 6-3. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know, and I don't understand why you as the media are focusing on losers. You ever watch a football game, basketball game, and they always interview the players? So what you doing? Well, yeah, we fought really hard, and we overcame what they were doing, and we scored more points than they did. All right, let's go talk to the losers. What happened? Well, we tried our best. That's all they needed to say. That's your dissent. We tried our best. It didn't work out. 30, 40 pages of dissent. Nobody's reading it. Nobody cares. Nobody's reading that crap.
Act and will call into peril some of the accomplishments that we've seen over that historic 1965 law that really dismantled Jim Crow and systemic barriers to voting for black people in the South. Of course, the Supreme Court today, as they have in recent decisions on voting rights, is saying the country has moved past that. It's time to stop intentionally focusing on race. And
you got the reparations you were hoping for. You got equality. That is the best reparation you could ever have asked for. I would just like to be treated like everybody else. I don't need special services. I don't need different advantages. I just want equality. There you go. You got what you wanted. Case closed. Next. Well, wait a minute. We weren't ready for equality. That's not the equality we were looking for. We needed more black districts. Imagine right now, even if some of you are in the audience, imagine what Hispanics are thinking. Wait a second. Y'all had special districts? Wait, hold on. Y'all had special districts for blacks? What about me? Oh, sorry, Juan. You weren't that important. You are now. We all let you all in the country, but before it was just the blacks we were worried about. So they got 60 years. Wait. Let me just understand. You gave the blacks 60 years of, fixing maps, and we got since Biden was in office. That's it. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? Because how can you have equality by penalizing other people? Make any sense to you? Anybody ever think it that way? They're fighting and they're screaming today because of Jim Crow and Civil Rights Act and black votes. She must have said black 20 times. And I'm waiting on going, you got any of them Hispanic votes in there, honey? Any Hispanic? No? Oh. You got any of them, Asian votes? No, got none for them either, huh? Just the black votes. So now you know how many of these people in Congress are there. Well, you probably could have told before, but now you know how many of them are there solely because they're black. See, they've had the DEI train for decades. Hey man, what you used to do? I used to hang out at the barbershop, and now I'm a congressman. So you're telling me you're not really qualified. You haven't done anything. That's why they probably had to steal. They came from nothing. They did nothing. They own no businesses. They did nothing. They produced nothing. But they got a bunch of people in the hood to vote for 'em. It's a lottery. They hit the frickin' lottery. And now the insulting aspect of as they're reporting it. And I just wonder how many people, how many Hispanics, Asians, American, Native Americans are all sitting back on, wait a minute, I didn't get no district. I don't have any equitable representation. And they're all pissed off today.
As Chief Justice John Roberts said in a case back in 2007, the way to end discrimination, race discrimination based on race, is to stop discriminating based on race. And this Supreme Court, with those 6 conservative justices, believes that racial preferences, whether it's in affirmative action, whether it's in redistricting, that can amount to unconstitutional race discrimination, Major.
We are in an era.
Yeah. Hey, Keem, how you like it?
Of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Just on.
See, he didn't expect that. He didn't expect that was a call, a crying call for all of us to realize, to accept that we are in a state of maximum warfare everywhere, all the time. The first time I heard it, and I was like, thank you. You should let every single Republican / MAGA understand you are at war. And the last 24, 48 hours shows you are winning. I want to show you something. I actually went and categorized or collected a whole bunch of things. So the Supreme Court ruling right there. And as soon as you see the usual suspects come out, it should tell you something. All right, so first, I want to show you Harmeet Dillon, because she was instrumental in getting this done. I'm extremely gratified to see this decision we've been waiting for. I was proud to co-author the brief for the United States as amicus in this important case, perhaps one of the most important developments in decades in Voting Rights Act jurisprudence. Great job. So now, there's the actual order, 6-3 vote. Supreme Court struck it down, 6-3, right on party lines. All right, Nancy Pelosi shows up. What do you say, Nancy? Today, the Supreme Court has dealt a devastating new blow to the Voting Rights Act and against the sacred right to vote. Hold on. Did the Supreme Court say black people couldn't vote? Because her first sentence doesn't have anything to do with what just happened. The Supreme Court has dealt this devastating new blow to the Voting Rights Act and against the sacred right to vote. Anybody want to explain to me how the right to vote was impugned whatsoever? Is there anybody on the God's green earth in America who can't vote? Did the Supreme Court say, nope, no blackies can vote? Nope, didn't say that. So what the hell is she talking about? The consequences will be felt across the country. Fewer voices heard, fewer communities represented, and a democracy diminished. What does she say more here? What's the more? Congress must urgently pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement to restore the full strength of the Voting Rights Act before the latest blow becomes fatal. You got 2 chances to do it again, and they're called slim and none, and Slim just got on the highway. You got no chance. You're not going to pass anything, especially if it's racially prejudicial. Sorry. Terry Moran, who used to work for NBC, the Voting Rights Act is one of the greatest achievements of American democracy passed by Congress after passionate debate, yada, 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 and he's showing all the black peoples with Lyndon Johnson. By the way, I'm looking at black men in suits, and they looking dapper, and I'm looking at black women who are dressed to the nines. What do you think it would look like in the hood right now if those people were there? 60 years ago, I'm looking at a classy group of people. You might not like what they thought or what they said, but they respected the office of the president. Gonna leave that there. Mother Jones, big rag, big Democratic rag. Roberts Court just issued 3 major decisions gutting the Voting Rights Act, continuing to suspend Trump's second term, not applying the law so much as clearing it out of the president's way. You know it's bad. Yeah, I mean, you know it's bad. Here comes cue ball. Congressman Ayanna Presley. With this shameful ruling, the Supreme Court is once again complicit in Republicans' assault on our democracy and black political power. Oh. What is black political power? I'm going to have to get my textbook or ask Grok to explain to me where in the Constitution did it say black political power was the objective here. As far as I'm concerned, as far as you probably know, I think it's American political power. I didn't know we associated a certain emphasis on black political power. You see, I think these people have gotten it wrong for years, and the younger people who came, second or third generation behind the 60s thought there was some sort of privilege from being black. The same people who think they have privilege are the ones asking for reparations. I don't know how you have black political power if the white people didn't give it to you that you've been fighting for with reparations. There's no such thing as black political power. If your ideas work, if your ideas make sense, they should be for, God forbid, all people. I mean, stop me if I'm wrong here, but should anybody in any office, in any state or government be looking at things in the perspective of, hold on, how does this work for my black power? Did anybody ever vote for somebody and go, oh, I'm only voting for you because you are part of the black power movement? But somehow that fell into her tweet. This decision, as they always say, will disenfranchise millions of people, further weakening the Voting Rights Act and embolden racial discrimination in our elections. Albeit she doesn't say how. How is anybody disenfranchised? I didn't see anything in the ruling that said, hey, you black people in these districts, you can't vote anymore. Instead, what this should do is motivate people of all colors to start going to the polls. If you believe your vote matters, don't subject it to a certain racial demographic. If you feel that X, Y, and Z is important to you, everybody should vote. There should be no discernment on, I got to get out the black vote. And like I said, just keep it in your mind, if you're sitting there and you're Hispanic, understand all these people I'm showing you ain't saying nothing about Hispanics, Asians, or Native Americans. Like they don't exist. Who's the next one? Oh, this was pretty funny because he actually is an Asian. This is yet another ruling that weakens voting rights for all Americans. The Voting Rights Act has suffered death by 1,000 cuts. We must stand up in Congress to restore voting rights and ensure everyone's voice is heard in our election. My gosh, what right was taken away? Notice he didn't say black. He knew better. I can't go there. I can't go there. Occupy Democrats. Trump's Supreme Court justices gut the Voting Rights Act in a shocking assault on democracy that opens the door to Republicans redrawing majority black districts and gaining anywhere from 12 to 27 seats. You know what that means, right? They're done. Done. Kaputski. That's why I said get the riot gear, because these people are going to go crazy. Oh, then what list wouldn't be complete without a good Reverend Al Sharpton? The Supreme Court decision on Louisiana redistricting case is a devastating blow to the voting rights all over the nation. This ruling nullifies the VRA protection of voters from racial discrimination. The ruling shoots a bullet in the heart of voters' rights. You see what's coming. Oh, yeah, your votes have been taken away. Big Letty chimed in. Letitia James, the Supreme Court decision to restrict the Voting Rights Act weakens one of our most powerful civil rights laws. The Voting Rights Act was born on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. This decision dishonors that legacy. I'll keep fighting to protect voting rights in our democracy. The fight is over. There's no more fight, per se, to be had. You cannot, there's nowhere else to go. It's done. 6-3, done. Now you know why they want to pack the court. Now it should become even more motivational for you to vote because you now understand why they want to pack the court. It's 6-3, lifetime appointments. They're never going to get over that hurdle. It's done. They can't even revisit it. Understand that. There is no place to fight. There is no lawsuit to be had. It's 6-3. How do we fix this? Well, we put 13 more judges on there and 10 of them or 12 of them are Democrats. We'll get whatever we want. We can even overturn this. Watch. Watch moving forward how much they push to pack the court. Because now they realize this can never be overturned as the court is right now. You guys need to really understand that. It's a 6-3 court. Unless these guys die and a Democrat begins appointing new ones, they're done. There's nothing they can do. Here, I want to cover this story. This is Florida today.
The House voting 83-28, the Senate 21-17, as you mentioned, resulting in the possibility of 4 Republican-leading seats in the House. Now, today, both Republicans and Democrats had the opportunity to debate the map. We saw Democrats heavily debated, calling the map not only unconstitutional, but politically motivated. They warn this fight is headed straight to the courts. The Florida Democratic chair has said lawsuits have already been drafted. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis, he has remained confident in the constitutionality of his map, pointing to 2 reasons for redistricting. He says, first, Florida has added more Republican voters since the 2020 census, making it necessary to redraw lines in areas with a population change. And second, he says the current map was drafted with racial data, and his team says the new map excluded any of that racial data. Now, taking a look at the map, it would impact 2 districts in South Florida, Tampa, and Orlando. Republicans currently hold 20 of Florida's 28 congressional seats, so this map would leave Democrats with just 4. And it appears to target 4 Democrats in Congress, potentially costing Representative Jared Moskowitz and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, among others, their seats. So, Martha, this new map is expected to go to the governor's desk. He's expected to sign it as he did propose it, but the big question remains, will it survive an uphill legal battle before the midterm? So, of course, we're going to be monitoring all of that here from Tallahassee.
We need.
So I showed you it earlier. It had just passed the House. It already passed the Florida Senate. And now DeSantis is probably going to sign it today, and then they'll have to try and sue. Good luck. Now knowing what the Supreme Court just did, they're done. They are completely done. By the way, if you're thinking about moving to Florida, now might be a good time. Because OMG. All right, let's continue. A couple more here. Melanie Stansbury, the United States Supreme Court has just gutted the Voting Rights Act. This is a sad day for America. Not for me. I'm good. We will continue to fight back. Please do tell. How? How are you going to fight back? And the one last one I wanted to show you is the Democrat attorney who fights for everything. Breaking in a 6-3 decision, the United States Supreme Court kneecapped the Voting Rights Act, the landmark civil rights law that restricted racial gerrymandering and racial discrimination in voting for more than 50 years. When you see that kind of response, a visceral response from so many Democrats, you realize at this point, they know it. It's almost like watching a chicken that just got its head chopped off. If you've never seen it, I don't advise you do. I saw it as a young child. And it keeps running around. It thinks it's still alive. It scares the hell out of people when you watch a chicken with its head cut off and it's running all around the farm. until it passes out. That's where the Democrats are right now. They're dead. They just don't know it. It's sort of like, what was the movie? The Sixth Sense. I see dead people. I'm seeing them right now. That's maybe why I'm so giddy about it, because I know what this spells for them. Maybe not in 2026, people say. Maybe. Definitely in 2028. But I'm thinking most assuredly it spells doom for them in 2026 as well.
It's almost May, and you think about, these states and these congressional districts trying to figure out where the boundaries could be. Shannon mentioned more than 20 plus districts, I think primarily in the Southeast, based on my reading of it, could be affected. But you've got to get an answer soon. We're in primary season. The justices are clearly aware of this, and I don't know how you feel about that, Carrie, about whether or not this urges them to get a decision out sooner rather than later. I thought we would have this decision months ago.
Yeah.
And I was wrong about that.
It's hard to know why the Supreme Court issues the decisions when they do. There are a lot of people who talk about this and guess, but we really just don't know. Now, today is the last day, though, of oral arguments for the term. So, there is some significance to that, to releasing the decision today in that sense. And, of course, we just got a decision from the Virginia Supreme Court as well yesterday, where they're temporarily siding with the lower court state judge, and this is a state case in Virginia, regarding the redistricting referendum that took place there, that basically made Virginia a Democrat state by adding all of those Democrat districts, and that's on pause for now. Now we'll see how that plays out. But I was wondering.
Now understand that in case you weren't following along with what's going on in Virginia, Cruella de Vil gets in and they go ahead and redistrict everything and eliminate all the Republican seats. That's on hold as of right now. The very next day they got an injunction, so they can't move forward with that. And so the Democrats literally are looking in the mirror when they wake up, and they're facing loss after loss after loss. And we're not talking little losses. We are talking seismic losses, where they realize at this point they cannot win. It's something I've been saying for months. It's like the numbers look bad. Oh my, the midterms are lost. How? Show me. Nobody wants to show you. Nobody even wants to how can it be possible? Oh, the war. So you're assuming between now and September, nothing's going to happen. People have very, very short-term memories. How do we know this? Because that's what the Democrats count on. Otherwise, people would know things were worse under Biden, but they forget, and so they think things are bad right now with Trump. So if things are bad right now with Trump in April, what happens in, I don't know, mid-August, when people are actually traveling on vacation? Things get better. You think they're going to remember February and March? No. In fact, they're going to probably pay more attention to their tax returns. And I've said this for years too, and people used to give me a hard time about it, but do you know what begins happening? Well, actually, it began last weekend and starts carrying between now and September. And a lot of eyeballs that are doing this, political stuff right now, they start changing. Anybody want to know what that huge, massive distraction is? Well, that huge, massive distraction is football. You're going to be going into spring football in college. You're going to be going into training in the NFL. It's going to lead to preseason camp, preseason football, college football, baseball playoffs, baseball World Series, hockey playoffs, football season. And people start doing this with politics because they actually have stuff to do. This has always been a lull time, a very lull time. Baseball just getting started. There's 800 games between now and the World Series. Football, they're just doing the draft. 300,000 people showed up for the draft. 300,000. You think they were giving a crap about what these politicians were doing? You think they cared so much about gas prices being a little bit higher that they didn't go see the NFL draft? They stayed in hotels? If people think about things, a light bulb should be going off. Number one, X is not real life, and that there are millions and millions and millions of people actually enjoying life. They're actually out there. And right now is the time when you're supposed to be getting everybody's face, because there's really not a whole lot going on. Your hockey teams are still in the infancy of the season. Football hasn't really even begun. Baseball just started. All this stuff is just getting on the board. And I've seen it historically because I played and I chart when do the eyeballs start shifting. And there's a reason why the NFL, and they've begun using the NFL draft as the official kickoff of the season. And now what you're going to see build up over a period of time is everybody talking about football, college football. I'm calling it. The WNBA, they don't have a prayer. NBA, not so much. But football, and then baseball, and then hockey. And then, of course, people going on vacation. People go on a vacation. What do they do when they go on vacation? They have fun. So the Democrats have a very short window of keeping people's attention, because people are like, okay, where are we going in a couple of weeks, or Mother's Day? They're toast.
If they were now, even though this particular case has to do with race, and that's not at issue in Virginia, I couldn't help but wonder if the Virginia Supreme Court also was wondering when the U.S. Supreme Court was going to hand down this decision on redistricting.
Carrie, thank you. We'll let you keep reading and go back to Shannon Bream, who has found a new nugget for us, and we go back to her to find out what is that, Shannon.
Well, you often find out what you need to know in the dissent, or at least more about it. Because again, trying to get through all 100 pages of this to find out the broader impact is what we're trying to do. Now, the dissent actually thinks that this is very dangerous.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
The dissent? You going to tell me about the dissent again? That's what we're focusing on? I swear it's like watching a game going, oh, my team lost. Let's talk to the coach of the losing team. Nobody cares. We won. We won big. Celebrate. Rub it in their face. Oh, yeah, give some of that. Get arrogant. Get cocky. Stop laying down. I hope people don't clip that and that'll be all over the internet. But you know what I'm saying.
Their estimation, this is going to have a broad impact across the country. Writing the dissent by Justice Kagan, joined by Justices Sotomayor and Jackson, she says the consequences are likely to be far-reaching and grave. Today's decision renders Section 2 all but a dead letter. Now, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is the one that says, you have to make sure that these districts comport with the law, that they have to be examined under a tight lens to make sure there's not discrimination there. She says, in the states where that law continues to matter, the states still marked by residential segregation and racially polarized voting.
Stop, Shannon. I understand she's just reading Kagan's racial segregation. Can anybody in the chat tell me where you can't go in certain cities? Maybe because, they might listen to Abdul or something. But other than that, is there any state in the nation, any county, any city where, hey, man, it's racially segregated over there? What do you mean? Oh, white people can't go there. I didn't know that. Wow, we still have that? Oh, yeah, black people can't go over there. Wow. Where is this? Where is this racially segregated place that they keep discussing? I don't know where it is. I've never seen it. I can go in the deepest south. I can go in the north. I don't know where the racial segregated locations are. I challenge anybody to please tell me where they are.
Minority voters can now be cracked out of the electoral process. So she says the decision here is about Louisiana, but it could be going much farther than that. She says, she talks about in the South, where we estimate that's where a lot of these districts, if they're impacted by this decision, they are in places like Alabama and Mississippi. She says, particularly in the South, in the last half century, minority citizens, particularly African Americans, have been given a meaningful political voice. But she says after today, those districts exist only on sufferance and probably not for long.
Here's the problem with what she's saying. I don't know how many people are watching right now, and I'm going to give you a serious homework. Tell me where these neighborhoods are, where the people in the neighborhoods feel like they're so disadvantaged because they're black. And then you have to tell me, why are they still living there? Why are they still living in the hood? I'd love to, maybe I should go down, if anybody will talk to me, and go into one of these neighborhoods and say, hey, how long you been living in this crap? Well, I've been here for about 30 years. Why? Nobody wants to live here, or at least live like this. Why are you still here? Because if I was someplace where it was crime, roach, rat, crazy, infected with something, I would leave. Well, Barry, they can't afford to leave. Now that leads me to question number 2. Why the hell you ain't got any money? You got to ask the hard questions. Why are you still living here? I'm broke. Okay, why you broke? I ain't got no education. Why you ain't got no education? Those are 3 questions in succession that you can ask somebody, and there's nothing in it that they can say, I'm black? No, wrong answer. What? Okay. All right, here's number 4. You ready? Who's your daddy? There are reasons why these people are stuck there, and the Democrats don't even ask those 3-4 questions because they already know the answers. You're there because we keep you there. That's the answer to the question. You voted for the people who keep you in squalor, who keep you broke, who keep you needing a daddy, who keep you needing food stamps. You're voting for these people. Ashley sent me a video today. You know, she's a former teacher, and it was some high school kids, and somebody asked him, read this sentence. And these kids high school kids couldn't read the sentence. And it scares you. If you never listen to these kids and they live their lives on TikTok, they don't have any idea what the hell they're talking about. And so they're perpetuating poverty. When I talk so much about prosperity, it's because nobody told me. My dad did give me some, obvious real estate knowledge, and he told me about gold and silver, but I didn't get, my sisters didn't get it because he was always, it was a man's thing. And I just wonder at this point, if you went and asked those 3 questions to somebody you think is down and out, what are their answers going to be? Because they have to be like the scarecrow, because the answer is, it's your fault. It's not the white man's fault, not the Asian man's fault, not the government, not Trump. It's you. And like I've said before, there is no personal accountability. None when you're talking about certain demographics, and that's because the only value they have, and you can tell by how they're kept, the only value they have is they can vote every 2 or 4 years. That's it. That's all you have to offer me. And I'll only be back in 2 years. You're not going to see me. You're never going to see me again until I need you to vote.
So the dissent predicts that this is going to have a big eruption in the way that districts are drawn or possibly redrawn now in the wake of this decision. We'll keep digging through, but the dissent very worried about the impact.
Yeah, just one thing.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
As far as the implications go on this, the Voting Rights Act we know is important here, and the population in Louisiana is about 1/3 black. So will their voices and their votes be heard? I think that's the big question people are asking, given the map was drawn.
You see, what happens now on April 28th or 29th, now you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and get out there and offer people something. It's not too late. You can still make it work, but you can't go, you're Poe, and we're going to give you food, and we're going to give you bus passes and your Obama phone and Section 8. You can't, no, that's not going to work anymore. It's easily defeated. It has been defeated. Now you actually got to go out there and give people something they can sink their teeth into. But the problem is, once you do that, hey, we're going to get you some remedial education. We're going to show you how to use AI. Well, why haven't you been doing that? Why, since 1965, when you sat in the office with Lyndon B. Johnson, did you not do anything back then and say, let me show them how to be plumbers, electricians, carpenters, bricklayers? Why did you not show them then? Why did you wait until April 29th when they said, nope, no more redistricting because you're black? Why now all of a sudden? They can't answer that.
In response to a previous ruling that they needed to have more representation, this population.
I'm black. I don't give a crap who represents me as long as they represent me. It's not a qualifier. Hey, sorry, you're Hispanic. I can't have you in there. No. Donald Trump's white. I voted for him 3 times. I would vote for him again. I don't care what color people are. I want to know, what are you going to do? And then that goes all the way back to the Kennedy question. Remember, this all ties into where the Democrats went south. And I don't mean geographically, I meant crazy. When President Kennedy said it, and then Martin Luther King besides that, President Kennedy asked not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. You got to get out there and do something. You got to earn a living. You have to help produce. You have to put something in this. Oh, I can't tell these people in the hood to do that. Why not? Kennedy would never get elected. And then, of course, what Martin Luther King said, I don't want my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren to be judged by the color of their skin, but instead, you know the rest. He specifically wrote in 1967 or 68, I don't want them to be judged by the color of their skin. I want them to be judged by the content of their character. And the Democrats have flipped it all the way back and go, no, we need to judge it on their skin. They have completely destroyed, for decades, the black community, and they feel no remorse, and now they've got nothing to offer. You got to ask the government what they're going to do for you. You need to be judged by the color of your skin. Nope. No, I don't. I just need opportunity and for y'all to get the hell out the way. But they won't tell black people that.
Yes, and what the court is holding here, Anna, is that this was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. So you have to ask, are the lines going to be drawn in a way that disperses the votes of African Americans in the state of Louisiana such that their voices will not be heard in the way that we have traditionally understood the Voting Rights Act?
She just said 2 really volatile things there. She goes, will their voices be heard in the way we traditionally have heard them? Well, if you're voting, you're pulling the lever or pushing the button, your voice is most assuredly being heard. You are saying, I vote for this guy. Unfortunately, the second part of what she said is their problem. Not in a traditional way that, they came to us. You had it drawn a certain way that they had no choice. They were sentencing themselves to doom.
To support. That's a legitimate question on the table now, how the state is going to redraw these maps in a way that both complies with the Voting Rights Act, but also comports with this court's decision today, an unambiguous decision where you have all 6 of the court's conservatives in the majority, and you have 3 of the court's liberals in dissent. I have yet to read the dissent. We've got 92 pages of decisions here, but this is one that we expected could have large reverberations across the country. And I just want to situate this in the context of some of these larger redistricting fights that are happening across the country. We are seeing a number of states try to redistrict for political reasons, to gain a political advantage. And while we see whether or not, for example, the Virginia maps are going to hold or whether Florida is going to redistrict, this adds a whole new variable into those House maps for the 2026 election. Are states going to now reconsider some of their maps in light of today's decision in ways that could even further throw the balance of power of the House of Representatives into disarray?
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Our democracy, this is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica has waived closed. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 28 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes. Read the next bill.
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
That's what they have to look forward to, and they can't take it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hakeem Jeffries said this is maximum warfare every day, all the time. That's your war cry. That should be a challenge. You have now been issued a challenge to get out there, and now you have a way to fight right now. We are definitely winning, and everything you're seeing is telling you the midterms are not anything like people on X are showing. This is it.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Win. I've never felt so much that I've had to, I don't know, prod people to accepting winning. To get over the thing of we don't know, what's going to be happening next and everything else. We haven't seen anything. You're seeing it if you actually look at this point. I'm going to get into the next piece here because I got one more for you before we go today. We're going to talk about, actually, do I have one more? I got two more. Damn, I got two more. So I might have to hold one of them tonight so you guys aren't sleeping here. Because I understand JD Vance is coming on at 4 o'clock. So, man. I get going on these afternoon shows. We can just keep going and going and going. Y'all have to let me know if you want me to stop because otherwise I'll show the rest tonight. But I'm happy. I am so happy. That gives me the energy and I feed off of it because I am so pumped. And I just want to relate that to you. So take a break in a second, but before we get to the whole, what do we got next? James Comey stuff. Let me tell you about some stuff with Brightcore. Did you know that United States life expectancy peaked at 78 years in 2014, and global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years because people are aging faster than ever before. This is all due to more toxins in the air, chemicals in our soil and food, and other external factors that are new to us. What most people don't know is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level. And there's studies that actually have been posted to prove that. Scientists discovered that kimchi actually slows the aging process of human cells, helping protect them and delay aging at the cellular level. The power of nature can outweigh the power of pharmaceuticals without the nasty side effects. And now you can get all of the benefits of kimchi in a simple capsule with Kimchi One. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, plus antioxidants and enzymes that support your digestion, your metabolism, your skin health, all from the inside out. As we age, we become more susceptible to microbial threats, and Kimchi 1 is a natural antimicrobial, helping your body fight off harmful bacteria, viruses, and even toxins while boosting immunity and energy. Best of all, Kimchi 1 is 100% made in the USA. It is all natural and non-GMO. Support your gut, protect your cells, and feel younger and energized every single day with Kimchi 1 from Brightcore. And as right now, you can see that the link is in the description of this video below, or as you see on the screen, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below. Just use the code Barry for 25% off your entire order. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call right now at 888-418-6738.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, let's check in with SV. What you got, man?
Hey, Barry. I know you like stats and charts and polls in some cases, not from our favorite pollster. But I saw somebody had posted a poll, informal X poll from Stephen A. Smith. It's been up about 4 hours, and it had 40,000, almost 40,000 votes already. So here's the question. Whose rhetoric has contributed most to the current climate of political violence in America? There were 4 answers. The first answer was President Trump. Then it was the media. The third was Democrats. And the fourth was Republicans. Who do you think got the most votes?
If I were to guess, I would say the media.
I chose that too.
Yeah.
And when you added up the percentage of the Democrats got the most, when you added up the media and the Democrat, the 2 answers out of the 4, it was 75%. So It was 33% of the media, 43% of Democrats, and only 1.3% for Republicans. Trump had 23%. But that's really interesting. 75% said media and Democrats, which to me, it's kind of, they're together. They're lumped together.
Yeah.
That's very, very telling.
And you have to realize that's his audience. So his audience,
Yes.
He being primarily a sports guy, and he's trying to be in the middle, whatever. But in any event, most of his audience is from people who watched him in sports, which means it's usually a lot of Democrats, and it tells you something. People can actually see it. They can understand it.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that the gaslighting and the lies are not working anymore. As you said, I think even the people that have a functioning frontal lobe are starting on the Democrat side are seeing that, it's not Trump. It's the left that's really become violent and has a lot of hatred.
If you've been following some of the conversation on X lately, a lot of the hold on. I want to show you guys this.
And Michelle, I thought in Brooks reporting,
Oh, I missed it. I'll find it. What's it? Martha McCallum at 3:57, so I can download it. But Tim Walz is in deep crap. But I'll come back to that. We're talking about this polling and everything. I don't know if you guys have been following the conversation on X lately, but there's been a lot, and I mean an overwhelming amount of people who are complaining that X is beginning to censor and not put up certain kind of content, and people's monetization are being cut. And I'm watching it filter out a lot of noise in real time. And, you know, people who are on there just stirring stuff up, they're getting booted, their monetization's being cut, and I'm watching more pure content begin to show. And I'm wondering, as I look, I've got the Stephen A. Smith poll up right now, and I'm wondering if a lot of the people that normally would respond are no longer on X. You know, they're trying to get it to where it's real people, and there's ways you can filter it out that you're only talking to people from America. But I just wonder, just because I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. That's even somebody like him, it could be, like you said, 75% the media and the Democrats.
Funny. Yeah, that's very telling. Well, X definitely has some weird stuff going on. I was texting you this morning that apparently all my posts, and I'm not a big content creator at all. I mean, I have like 1,000 people on there, but all my posts are flagged as sensitive content. And like I had a picture of Trump, and it was deemed sensitive. So I wrote to X, and they said, "Oops, we made a mistake. We'll try to do better." But I had now on every post, and now it's stopped because I actually took the thing, unticked it from my account. But I haven't seen it yet. But if it does, I think it's either somebody might have reported it or something. But it's weird. I didn't even know that.
They've got armies.
I was going to say, I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't even know that was happening until somebody told me, why is your content have all these sensitive warnings on it? So, yeah.
It's going.
I'm just a small fish in the pond here.
You got anything else for right now?
No, that's all I got. Anybody thought you would enjoy that? I'm glad you did.
Now, I was going to get into my next segment, but J.D. Vance is due to come on the Will Cain show in 2 minutes. So I'm going to I'll show them the that Stephen A. Smith poll, but if he comes as the first guest, I'll cut to it and let everybody see that, and then I may save my other segments for tonight. So I'll let you know. I'll hit you back. All right. So the poll that SB was just talking about is this poll. Here it is. It says, whose rhetoric has contributed most to the current climate of political violence in America? And as SB said, 40,000 votes thus far. And out of that 40,000, you see where I voted media, 32.9, and as Democrats, 42.5. Republicans, only 1.3%. So the general public, if you were to take this as any sort of a decent polling, it's what, 75+ % of people think it's the media and Democrats that are contributing to violence. 75%. That is very, very, very interesting. I'm spinning time here, waiting to see what happens with this interview. If he comes up first, I'll cut right to it. But I wanted you to see this by President Trump earlier. If you haven't seen it, Iran can get their act together. They don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. They better get smart soon. President Donald J. Trump, and he put up a meme of "No More Mr. Nice Guy," which I'd put the Alice Cooper song out there. And this, again, got these people all freaked out, completely freaked out. Now, those of you guys who may have been following things, J.D. Vance is heading up the fraud task force. And I think they're setting this up because a lot of the stuff that's happening in Minneapolis is starting to get really deep. I'll cover that tonight. I'll probably do a second show tonight. But he's getting ready to come on right now. Let me just see if they bring him on. And yep, here we go.
Shortly before this interview, and I did confirm with you that this was the first time something like this for you had ever been experienced, had to be rushed off of the dais there at the front of the stage. Tell me a little bit about Saturday night. What was your experience?
Yeah, I think, Will, honestly, it was tougher for my wife, who was at home with the kids and started hearing things through, text messages and social media than it was for me. I really didn't know what was going on. Just to give you my perspective, I'm sitting up there on the dais with some journalists and obviously with the President of the United States a few seats to my right. And there's a lot of commotion. You kind of hear some loud noises. I had no idea what it was. And before I had any idea what was going on, I started seeing people sort of duck under their tables or respond to what was going on far in the back of the ballroom. And then an agent comes and whispers in my ear, basically says, "Sir, we have to leave." And you can you see the video, Will, where the agent sort of lifts me to my feet. And then I walk off stage and then go to my hold room and kind of wait and see what's going on. So, the first thing that happened that actually freaked me out a little bit, Will, is that we heard that an agent had been shot. And in the fog of war, I thought, oh my God, this guy's actually seriously injured or maybe worse. And then we found out later, of course, that he was uninjured or not seriously injured. So as you learn this information, the thing that I really gained an appreciation for, Will, is what an amazing job the agents of the Secret Service do. You saw they went right to me. They went right to the President of the United States. They put their lives in harm's way. And if I could just say, Will, I've had a Secret Service detail for all of 2 years. I wouldn't say that I'm used to it. And there's an interesting way where you just kind of get used to it, right? They're the people who drive you to the White House, or they're the people who hang out with your kids when your kids are running around outside. And they kind of fade into the background of your life a little bit. And it's easy to forget that the reason they're there is for nights like what happened Saturday night. So I just feel very grateful to them and very grateful for what they do. And frankly, grateful to God that agent who was shot was not seriously hurt. It could have been a lot worse, but the law enforcement did a great job, Will, and we should all be grateful for that.
As are we. You mentioned to me that it was the first time you had to be rushed off stage. We're grateful that was a successful night in terms of the Secret Service and your protection, the president's protection, and we hope it's the last time that you ever have to be rushed off of a stage like that. Now, I just think it would take an incredible amount of self-imposed ignorance to not look around and see the way that our political environment is talking. And if I'll editorialize, it is largely coming, not exclusively, but largely coming from one direction. Certainly the bullets seem to be flying from one direction. You're now sort of in the direction of the fire. You're in the direction of the words and, unfortunately as well, the bullets. What would you say about everything, Mr. Vice President, from comedians who seem to make some of this rhetoric mainstream to fringe elements now that have now gone mainstream within the left? What would you say about the way we're hearing rhetoric and conversation in politics?
Well, I think you said it well, Will. I can't improve upon it, which is that political violence right now is coming not exclusively but largely from one side of the aisle. The president has now faced 3 serious attempts on his life in just the past year and a half. Of course, Butler, Pennsylvania. There was a situation at Mar-a-Lago that the media didn't really cover. And then, of course, there was the White House Correspondents Association dinner. So I think really it's incumbent upon everybody, but particularly those who are driving some of the narratives that Donald Trump, that Donald Trump has somehow invited this violence upon himself, that killing your political opponents is somehow justified. If you're engaged in that kind of rhetoric, you need to check yourself. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say that political disagreement is fine, but inviting violence upon your political opponents makes you part of the problem. Of course, our mutual friend, Charlie Kirk, was gunned down not even a year ago. And immediately after that happened, you saw some mainstream voices on the left pivot not to the fact that Charlie was a good husband and father, not to the fact that he was going and taking his message to campuses and talking to people, both those who agreed with him, but also those who disagreed with him. You saw people come out and say that somehow it was justified, or that somehow Charlie Kirk believed this bad thing that you're not supposed to believe, which is implicitly justifying the person who murdered him. Why can't we all just say, disagree aggressively? That's part of the beauty of the American system if you've got to, but we don't accept political violence in our system. Yeah. And if you're part of the left wing in this country, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, why is it that so many of the people who are firing guns at their political opponents agree with my perspective and listen to the same sources of information that I listen to? Maybe that suggests the left has got to tone down the rhetoric a little bit. I certainly hope they do, because look, I love the president. obviously, I love my family. We don't want this violence in our country. But the last thing I'll say, Will, is look, this is fundamentally, the president has such a good attitude about this, where he says the reason they come after him is because he's doing big things. And that's exactly right. They always go after, there's always some evil character who's going after people who are doing big things in our country. That doesn't mean you can't do big things. That just means you need courageous leaders at the top. And I know we've got a courageous leader in President Trump. It's amazing. But after all this, I've never seen the violence or the threat of violence even have a little bit of an effect on how he thinks about his job. It's the best thing maybe I could say about his character, which is saying quite a bit.
Mr. Vice President, there is a report out today, or it's from this week, rather. It's in The Atlantic, and it says that sources inside your office are telling The Atlantic that you've been expressing some real concerns about missile depletion through the war with Iran. They read as follows. In closed-door meetings, J.D. Vance has repeatedly questioned the Defense Department's depiction of the war in Iran and whether the Pentagon has understated what appears to be the drastic depletion of U.S. missile stockpiles. Are you concerned on this front? Are you concerned about our missile stockpiles?
Well, let me say two things about that report, Will. So first of all, most of these reports I ignore. This one I actually read because it ascribed views to me and things that I had allegedly said that I am just 100% certain that I have never said. And in particular, there's a lot in that story, Will, and you know how this game works, that is attributed to people who describe themselves as Vance advisors. An advanced advisor could be a staff member that I see every single day. It could also be a random person off the street that I've talked to once at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. What I feel confident about, Will, is that nobody who actually knows what I think, nobody who's close to me was speaking to that reporter, because if they did, then it would have been a totally different story. Now, to answer your question, Will, of course I'm concerned about our readiness, because that's my job to be concerned. But I think that Pete Hegseth, our Department of War Secretary, I think General Kane, our Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they're doing an amazing job. But it's, of course, my job to ask these questions. It's, of course, my job to make sure that we're on top of every issue. And, of course, it's the president's job, too. And I think that both of us are very focused on that. But we've got a great military, a military that can do a lot, Will. So don't believe everything you read, especially in papers like The Atlantic.
Our conversation, of course, did not stop there. While the federal government cracks down on fraud, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota is trying to take credit. And the vice president isn't having it.
Well, this is like the arsonist trying to claim credit for the work of the fire department, because Tim Walz let this fraud happen under his watch.
Part 2 of my exclusive interview is next. But before we go, the Federal Reserve issuing its latest interest rate decision, leaving rates unchanged as expected. So let's see how the markets are reacting. The Dow.
All right, so he's probably getting ready to cut to a commercial, which I'm sure. So in tonight's show, while J.D. Vance was talking, there was so much more information. If you just judge by what these people are saying online, you can see that today's ruling by the Supreme Court just wasn't an ordinary ruling. It was devastating to the Democrats. It has eviscerated them. They have nowhere to go and no answer for what just came out, other than, it's racist, racist, racist. If I didn't know better, which I'm probably right, they're trying to get people riled up. But the problem is, and the funniest thing is, most of the people, I'd say 90% of the people I see pissed off, are all white. It is incredible that those, Jeffries responded. I got that. So I'm going to have like an update tonight when we go live, because it's absolutely, it's just, SB, you've been watching it? You've been watching it?
Yeah. Yeah. He's losing his marbles. It's a 23-second clip. He's surrounded by his clapping seals.
Did you send me the actual clip? Let me see if I find
from Daugherty. It's on his
Eric Daugherty put it up?
Yeah. 23 seconds long. 13 minutes ago.
Where you didn't? I don't have it. Let me just refresh. Did you send it to Fanfare?
No, I have sent it to your phone.
Oh, my phone. Okay. Okay, but it's Eric Doherty. So let me see if I can find it real quick. It's incredible. I mean, I am really getting a kick out of watching these people go absolutely crazy because it's like they just finally realized they are completely toast.
I just sent it to you on X.
Okay, on which the fanfare account?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Got it. All right. So
cool.
let me see if I can get it downloaded before JD Vance comes back on. They're still on commercial, so I think I have enough time to bring it in. But oh my gosh,
he is definitely furious. He has lost his mind.
I got to see if I can find this entire press conference because we might have to get some popcorn together and watch this tonight because it's
I'm
so
gonna pop
good.
some more for tonight's show. Come back.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Let me bring it in here real quick.
Okay.
I gotta adjust the volume because I can already tell that the volume on it is low. That's a problem with some of these clips on X. The people who upload them don't understand editing and they just put them up and the volume is always just not correct. All right, so this is Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know what time, but let's go ahead and watch this because this is nuts.
Toward a more perfect union. And now we're at a point where affirmative action is gone, diversity is gone, equity gone, inclusion gone, racial tolerance gone, the Voting Rights Act largely gone. But guess what, extremists? We're still here. That's right. And we're not going anywhere.
Wow.
So
somebody called the ambulance.
We're not going anywhere. We didn't ask you to go anywhere. But everything that you were talking about before you said we're going to go away, yeah, we kind of like it. No affirmative action? Yeah, great. Thank you. Wait a minute. No DEI? Yeah, we wanted that too. I mean, he was naming all the stuff we wanted. And
that's all what I voted for.
They don't get it. They don't understand. They think that's problematic when it's actually exactly what we voted for. And like I've been saying, tell me how we lose when you see how these people are acting. It doesn't make any sense. There was some lady, I was going to answer while he was talking, and I'm like, nah, I don't even want to get into it. Let me see if I can find it. It was just the most incredibly stupid post I've read in quite some time. And she's one of these left-wing advocates. And she says, basically she goes in here, she's like, I lost everything. I lost my right to vote. I lost my right to have an abortion. I lost this, I lost that. I'm like, how? Tell me how you lost all that in one fell swoop. I'm having to watch up there before he comes back on. But
the adults are back in charge, man.
Oh, here it is. Here's what she wrote. In 4 years, I have lost. This is what she wrote. In 4 years, I've lost my right to an abortion. Okay. My ability to pay, my ability to obtain financial aid to pay for a degree. My right to clean air and water. I'm trying to figure out where these rights are gone. My right to safe food free of forever chemicals. I'm pretty sure that's what RFK Jr. is trying. And then she finished it up with my right to be represented in Congress as a tax-paying citizen through the Voting Rights Act. All right, so he's going to be talking. He's going to be talking real quick about the stuff that they're finding with the fraud. So this is important.
The federal government is ramping up its fraud crackdown. Yesterday, authorities raided more than 20 locations in Minnesota, including multiple child care centers. And now, as well, the infamous Quality Learing Center. Investigators say some state licensed daycares may have been billing for services that were never provided, and the raids are part of the broader fraud probe involving largely Somali-owned businesses. In other words, a federal operation, something Governor Tim Walz doesn't seem to realize.
We've created additional checks and balances. We've brought on more investigators, more auditors, more law enforcement agencies, as well as an outside firm to take a look at high-risk programs. People who have ripped us off are getting caught, and they are going to jail, just like today. I've said the buck stops with me. And as I know some of you will take that as an open invitation to play politics with every incident of fraud that takes place here in Minnesota, even though I have to tell you, the statistics show it's happening in red states more than here, but so be it.
Should someone tell him? Well, I can leave that to the Vice President. Vice President J.D. Vance, who's heading up the crackdown, and here's more of my exclusive interview with the Vice President. As you know, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota has claimed some credit for the fraud crackdown in Minnesota. Is there credit to be deserved for the governor?
No, not at all, Will. This is like the arsonist trying to claim credit for the work of the fire department, because Tim Walz let this fraud happen under his watch. Whether he was complicit in it directly himself or just turned a blind eye towards it, we really did not get much help at all from the governor's office. Where we did actually get some help was from some state, local law enforcement officers who we assigned to the federal task force because the state government wasn't doing anything. So all credit goes to people on the ground, the federal officers, the state officers who are working to uncover this fraud. The best part about this for me, Will, is you have, when the president empowered his entire government to go after this fraud issue. I had this question to the Department of Justice. These investigations take a long time. So I was asking myself, how quickly can we start getting into some real investigatory work, court-issued warrants, actually going door to door and finding out what's going on? People told me it would take at least 6 months. We've gone from Nick Shirley's video about the Minneapolis fraud schemes to active judges issuing warrants for this investigation in a matter of 3 months. We've got 280 law enforcement officers working on this problem. We really have the most accelerated, aggressive anti-fraud operation that we've ever seen from the federal government. And again, it's because the President of the United States empowered his team to go after this. That's what we're doing. And this is just a very, very good next step. This is far from done, Will, but we're doing a lot of good work and we're making a lot of progress.
Far from done. You mentioned complicity, and you analogized the governor to an arsonist. Do you expect some type of accountability, beyond political, some type of accountability for Attorney General Ellison or Governor Walz?
Well, we have to follow the law where it leads. And what we know is that there were multiple Minnesota authorities who were turning a blind eye to this fraud. What we don't yet know is whether they knew it was going on as it was going on. But that's one of the things that we're looking at with these investigations. We're not going to, we're not going to let anybody who committed a crime off the hook. And in fact, if you're a senior officer, if you're the attorney general or the governor or any other elected official, we're going to look extra hard at what you knew and when you knew it and how connected your actions were to this fraud scheme. But it's part of the reason why we're serving these warrants, Will, is because, of course, people don't come out and tell you, oh, yeah, I knew that the Quality Learing Center was committing fraud and people were getting rich off of it and I did nothing. People don't say that. So we've got to do the investigatory work to understand what was known, when it was known, and by whom. That's a big part of the reason why the fraud investigation, these warrants that we saw being served all across the city of Minneapolis, why that's such a big deal is because we're finally starting to really get into the nitty-gritty of what we knew, of what people were involved in this fraud scheme. But regardless of whether there was criminal wrongdoing on behalf of the governor, of course, like I said, well, we're going to let the law make those determinations. We know that he turned a blind eye towards this. I mean, you have people, Will, who came into this country, many of them illegally, and 6 months later they're driving Mercedes despite the fact that they don't have a job. That doesn't happen without some defrauding of the American taxpayer. The fact that they turned a blind eye towards it for so long is a scandal. We're also going to find out whether it was criminal.
Let's stay on the note of accountability for one more second. You mentioned the people that come into this country, sometimes illegally, sometimes legally, and then take advantage of our system here in the United States. We know, for example, as you mentioned with the Quality Learing Center, that much of this was located within the Somali community in Minneapolis. Could the law lead you to a place where we'd see accountability in the form of denaturalization or deportation from people that come to this country legally or illegally and take advantage of America?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's one of the angles that we're looking at is the people who committed immigration fraud against our system and how do we denaturalize those people and send them back to where they came from. There's also, as you know, Will, under the Biden administration, there was a big blurring of the lines between illegal and legal immigration. The Biden administration would often take people who were coming in on fraudulent asylum claims, fraudulent refugee claims, and basically wave the magic wand of amnesty and say, we're not going to enforce the immigration laws against those people. The first thing, and maybe the most important thing that we did in the Trump administration, is that we stopped that from happening. But then you still have a lot of people who benefited from that Biden administration amnesty program. We're trying to unwind as much of that as possible. We've already had some success, by the way, Will, despite the fact that left-wing radicals in the justice system, the court system, have tried to stop us. We have been able to denaturalize and actually unwind that temporary protected status, a lot of those fraudulent asylum claims. So that work has been happening, but it's going to keep on happening so long as Donald Trump is president. I think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg. I think there's sort of a good news, bad news situation in that, Will, which, the good news is that we're stopping the fraud that's happening against the American taxpayer. The bad news is that my own children will never be able to attend school at the quality Learing Center. So, you got to take the balance, the good with the bad. But fundamentally, what we're able to do is make sure that this fraud is stopping, that the American taxpayer is not being stolen from anymore. And one final point on this, Will, is we have to understand this as really a two-way fraud system. On the one hand, you've got American taxpayers who are generous, who love to take care of their country, who are paying their taxes, and they expect it to go to the services that people are actually legally entitled to. They don't expect it to go to fraud. Those people, millions and millions of Americans, are being taken advantage of by this fraud. You also have people who are supposed to benefit from certain services. Let's say you take, for example, a food stamp recipient, a low-income American who's down on their luck, who needs a little help to ensure they put food on the table for their kids. When you have Somali fraudsters take away from that program, that means those resources aren't there for kids who actually need it, American citizens who actually need that. So this fraud ring that we've allowed to fester in this country, it defrauds the taxpayers. It also literally takes resources from the mouths of poor children. We have to go at it for both reasons, and we are.
Mr. Vice President, you and I share something in common, and I learned this when I was researching your brand new book, which is coming out June 16th. The book is entitled Communion, Finding My Way. And what we have in common is you talk about in this book sort of your drift away from the church and the faith that you grew up with when you were young, and then you found your way back later, in your case, in your conversion to Catholicism. And I'm curious, what, as you described it, didn't take root from the sort of religion you were handed as a kid, that you were raised in, and then ultimately how you found your way back?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. It's something I talk about in some detail in the book. But I think one of the things that happened for me is that while my mamaw, the woman who raised me, my grandmother, she was a person of very deep faith, we didn't have a very consistent practice of the faith. We didn't go to church regularly. We didn't have a faith community that sustained us. And so, as I went from high school to the Marine Corps and then to college, I just didn't have a firm enough root when all these forces from the outside encouraged me to discard my faith, encouraged me to think of people who did have faith as wrong-headed or simple in some way. And so that faith just kind of shriveled up and died a little bit. But, some of those seeds that were planted, I think, by my grandfather, by my dad, they did eventually take root. And fundamentally, Will, I think that the way to summarize my own journey is that as I became a husband and father, I began to think about the deep questions, not what kind of credentials you have or what kind of job you have or how much money you make. I started to think to myself, how do I raise, a happy family? How do I be a good husband to this woman that I've fallen in love with? How do I be a good father to these children that we plan to have? And the more that I thought about those deeper questions, the more that I thought the best answers were in that Christian faith that I had discarded. And that's what ultimately led me back on the pathway to faith. I think all of us have our own journey, but that's a good way to summarize mine. And if you want to read the longer version, of course, you can check out the book,
which will be out this coming June. We want to thank the Vice President for his time in this interview. Now,
all right, so before we go, and that was a pretty good interview, wanted to show you that tweet I was telling you about. And here it is. We'll close with this and we'll go to super chats. It says, this woman, let's see what her profile, what she call herself. She is founder of women's incarceration expert. Okay. Political commentator, author, epidemiologist, words, Washington Post, Essence, and blah, blah, blah. She writes, my right to remove babies has been lost in the last 4 years. My ability to obtain financial aid to pay for a degree. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify. What do you mean your ability? My right to clean air and water. None of this stuff makes any sense. They just say it. My right to safe food free of forever chemicals. My right to be represented in Congress as a tax-paying citizen through the Voting Rights Act. And then she ends it by saying, I hate this country. Well, I know how you can fix that. You know, some of these people get on here and they spew stuff about hating their country and everything else. Well, there's a door. You know, it's funny, over the last couple of years, one of the things we all realized is there are so many people who are dying, willing to kill themselves and their children to get here. They will swim across the Rio Grande. They will do whatever they can, pay coyotes, do what they have to do to get here. And you get people like this self-entitled, you know what, saying, I hate my country. Well, leave. The exit is not stopped. The border, President Trump stopped people from coming in. Anybody at any time can get the hell out. Maybe now some of these people will take the, what's her name? Ellen route or Clooney route. Leave. Go ahead. I heard you can live very well for 20 grand a year in Pakistan. You probably can get by with even less in India. Go. Wait a minute. They don't let you go to their country. It's only America where you can swim across and sneak in and stay. So many of the other countries, you can't go to Australia and just decide I'm going to live there. You can't do it. It's only here that you complain about the things that other countries are actually doing. Oh, by the way, wait till you get a load of the taxes in some of those other countries. Oh, and unless you're going to Zambia or Uganda, wait till you see how they treat black people over there. Just saying. I'm tired of it. These people make no sense. All right, so I'm going to get out of here, read super chats, and then we'll figure out tonight. It'll probably be at this time of day. It's 4:30. If I do a show, I'll post it, but it's going to be probably later, like 7:30, 8ish. So get some beauty sleep in, and we'll see if we can't do something a little bit later, because I'm sure there'll be some funny stuff. All right, so let's look at this. Here we go. Chiosop, thank you, bro. I'm going to have to send you a hat, too. By the way, don't worry. This Saturday, I told Robin, I am sitting in here, and I am putting all the boxes together and getting all this stuff out. President Trump has every single thing planned out, along with plans B, C, and D. The Democrats don't stand a chance. That's why you never see him stressed out. I just loved his attitude this morning. Oh, did something happen in the Supreme Court? I didn't know nothing about that. Yeah, sure you did. Buddy Sanders, no peace in the Middle East if any of the IRGC is left in power. I agree. Mark Kahn, Barry, you're my new rush. Thanks for all you do. You don't even know what kind of compliment that is. Thank you, brother. Chiosop, Nixon missed her mental illness medication. I'm telling you, if you're seeing this happen in the halls of a government, then you can only imagine what is happening or what's going to happen in the very near future. Let me just give you a little advanced trailer.
Our democracy, this is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica has waived closed. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 28 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes. Read the next bill.
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
All you guys got to do is your part. Let everybody know you like the winning. I mean, because that's where we are. All right. That was Nixon. She missed her mental illness medication. Chiosop. Now we need to get poll watchers and counters in, especially in the areas where a lot of funny business happens by the Democrats. Stop the seal. Now you have to take that a little bit. Oh, this is so sad. Look at, nobody showed up. Hold on.
Mike Bloomberg. The two then split up. The king went uptown to Harlem for a community event on urban farming and nutrition. And the queen visited the New York Public Library, delivering a new addition to the world-famous collection of Winnie the Pooh characters. This hour, King Charles participating in a U.S.-UK trade event, meeting with top business leaders. So joining me now, Grammy Award.
And oh my gosh, and Mondami didn't even go meet the King of England. What an absolute scumbag. There's nobody there. No delegation. Hochul wasn't there. Wow. Wow. It's, in addition to being complete asshats, they have no class. There is absolutely no class on the left. That's the other. They're walking around with a megaphone. Oh my goodness. You people are scum. You're absolute scum. So Chiosop was talking about we need poll watchers. Now understand some of these districts that have been drawn specifically for, the inner city. Now what happens when you're not drawn? Because now they can't wait. Okay, let's see what everybody else did, because we're going to need how many? 7,000? Just put it in there. Things are going to change very, very quickly. Let's see, next. Brenda Sykes running Broward County elections again. I thought she was gone. I don't think she's here anymore. Buddy Sanders, Jim Crow was Democrat policy. Indeed. Macon Blankenship. I'm 40 miles south of Baton Rouge, and the line runs right in front of my house. Wow. Mark, Barry, question for you. If gerrymandering redistricting is minority influence, what happens if the minority constituents don't vote the way they want, asking for a friend? Maybe that's why they're all freaking out. See, it's not that the people have lost their right to vote. What's going to happen is now they may have choices. See, that's where the difference is. And if that line doesn't, wait a minute, I'm on this side of the line. Now, I may have to actually listen to what people are saying. I think that's what they're really afraid of. Jonathan, Barry, you are a real life Morpheus. Thank you for unplugging from the Matrix. He's talking. I love that movie, by the way. Cheers up. No sleep till midterms. A little Beastie Boys reference there. SCOTUS hit the bullseye on a Dems dunk tank. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to try and regroup, but right now what I'm seeing is complete panic. Complete. And they keep saying we're going to keep fighting, but I don't know how you're going to fight. Well, we kind of know how they're going to fight. I keep showing you that little video from Florida. Macon Blankenship, it won't be long now. No, it won't be. When in Minnesota, do as the Minnesotans do. Or actually, why don't we say the Somalis do? And thanks, Barry. Thanks, John. Yeah, I think we're going to see some crazy stuff happening. Crazy. Just be careful, be ready, because if this is anything to look forward to, I'll play it one more time. If this is anything to look forward to, these people are not going to go quietly.
Our democracy, this is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order, but y'all are doing illegal.
Representative Persons Mullica has waived close. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 1D. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
83 yeas, 28 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes. Read the next bill.
None on the desk, Mr. Speaker.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Challenge accepted.